So Pirkei Avos, it's a minhag of Yisrael before every parak from Pirkei Avos. We say the Mishnah, this Mishnah in Sanhedrin, Kol Yisrael Yishem Chelik Olam Haba, that every Jew, everyone in Israel has a portion in the world to come. And it's from the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, and then the next part of the Mishnah says, and these are the ones that don't have a Chelik Olam Haba. Anyway, Shene'emar, so this is bringing the pasuk from Isaiah. Your people shall all be righteous; they shall possess the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. That from this it's understood that the point of the Mishnah, that's the schar of every Jew in Olam Haba, is fitting and has a connection with the limud of Masechet Avos. And we understand, because Olam Haba is the reward of all the avodas HaTorah and the mitzvahs in every detail. It's not just doing mili da'avos. What a mili da'avos, it's Chassidus. The Mishnah says if you want to learn Chassidus, then, or to be a Chassid, then learn Avos. So the Mili Avos became, why do we say the Mishnah is Davka as the Hakdama and the beginning of learning Masechet Avos? What's the connection? So in the Masechet Avos, we find two sides. From one side, that the Masechet is about the Lashon of Rav Ovadia Mibar Tanura, that it's Maser and Midos, that it's mitzvah Torah until the Chachmei Amos Olam. Also they have their own books that they took from their hearts, the ways of Maser, how to act with his friend. That it has to be careful from these matters from the side of the chumrus and the lowless of man, in order that he can so quickly go to bad midas. So therefore you need to focus on your good midas. But from the other side, and Chazal say that each man who haroitze, that he wants to be a chassid, then he should do the things of Avos. That's to say that the teachings of Masechet Avos are shaykh on the level of a chassid, that the Oved has Hashem inside the Meshurish Din. So it's not necessarily just a general goyish mussar of how to be a better person, but this is Avodas Hashem. So here we have been Adam, how man Adam im Chavero. But here we're also saying that it's Avodas Hashem inside the din. It's not just what the book says, you go even further. You have chumras, amazing. These two sides we find also with the learning of Masechet Avos, that the time that we learn this Masechet in the Shabbos between Pesach and Atzeres being Shavuos, specifically is because this is the time where we awaken the taiva of the guf, the physical taivas, and therefore we learn this Masechet because it fills and awakens in the man to run after all the good deeds. But on the other side, the minhag Yisrael is that every Jew, from the katan in the katanim, even the smallest one that is found at the beginning of his avodah, until the greatest man, the gadol ador, that is nen legamar mitayva, he doesn't have any gufni taivas. That they all learn Pirkei Avos in this time. So between Pesach and Shavuos, everyone's learning it from the child to the gadol. And so the two sides and the knot between them, the connection between them, is hidden in the Hakdama that O Yisrael they v'chilek Olam Haba, as we'll see later on. So Olam Haba is three. Olam Haba is the schar of the guf for the kiyum of the mitzvah. So we'll understand this with the explanation that's known in the Mishnah. The Olam Haba, the explanation is the Lom HaTechiyah. So Techiyah is the Techiyas HaMeisim. So when we're talking about Olam Haba, so here in note 9, so Hilchos Shuvah Rambam, so that you have, it's the 9 stars, the Rav and Sanhedrin Sham, and the Midrash Shmuel, because it's a maklokas here. So that's an neshamas beguf, that you have the neshama and the guf together. So in the Techiyas HaMeisim, so you have the neshama and the guf together. Now Olam Haba being, is it just the neshama, or is Olam Haba the neshama and the guf? So this is a big maklokas that is nogeya and touching very much on Simson Kupashuto. And here we're saying that Olam Haba is that the neshama is in the guf, and that is the Olam HaTechiyah, and this is the days of Mashiach that will be eternal. And that's the chiddush in the Mishnah, that every Jew, they v'chilek Olam Haba. So again, this is in the time of the mechia, when the bodies come back alive and the neshama gets put back into the guf. Now, the schar of Gan Eden, that's the Olam HaNeshama. So we're splitting the next world into two. We have Gan Eden and we have Olam Haba. So Olam Haba is when the neshama is in the guf, so it's both together. And Gan Eden is only the world of the neshamas. So it's not Sheva B'chol Yisrael. So therefore, the whole set of Gan Eden, every Jew does not have the same portion there. That even you have some people that aren't even shaykh to Gan Eden. Some people ein lechem chilek Gan Eden. They don't go to Gan Eden. So since they don't go to Gan Eden, so therefore you can't have that every Jew has the same chilek in Gan Eden. But in Gan Eden there is levels, but in Olam Haba there's no levels. So against this, Olam Haba, Olam HaTechiyah, when you come back, Shar Neshamas are in the guf, that is the Sheva L'Kol Yisrael. It's equal for every Jew. Kol Yisrael Yishem Chelek Olam Haba. So every Jew has a chelek in it. So he's saying that's an equal chelek. Whereas in Gan Eden, that's just not true, because Gan Eden is all about your neshama. So the tam lekach. So the reason for this is that the reward in Gan Eden, that's the neshama's beli the guf, so that you have the neshama, your soul, and there's no body. That is on the limit of Torah. So the Gan Eden is the pleasure, is the revealed pleasure from the Torah which you learn here. The ha-kosher be'ikr le-neshama. So therefore it is connected to the ikr of the neshama. So the Torah which you're learning is connected to the ikr of your neshama. And then the koyach of the seichel that your neshama has. But the chizah mesim, that is the ikr of the schar of the kima mitzvahs. So the Gan Eden is klape the Torah, and Olam Haba is klape the kima of mitzvahs, of doing mitzvahs that are done imu ba'atzmos guf. So how do you do mitzvahs? You do mitzvahs with the guf. You pick up a lulav with your hands. You put tefillin on your hands. The mitzvahs you do, you say brachos with your lips. The mitzvahs you do with your guf. So it's davka, and therefore that the neshama mekabels the schar, and not that it is biyichud im guf. So therefore, both at the time. So the Olam Haba, why is the chizah mesim that the neshama also gets the reward, because the neshama is also there, and therefore they both do it together and both get rewarded together. And after, and the hasagas of Torah, with your understanding of Torah and doing them, the separation between the Jew, one Jew, and the second one, until from the side until the side, you can have complete differences. Therefore, Kol Yisrael einim shavim b'schar Avot is Gan Eden. So in Gan Eden, we don't say Kol Yisrael yeshem chilek but Gan Eden, because the hasagas of Torah, the way that somebody delves into Torah, is completely different from one to another. You can have an Ama'aretz who knows nothing about Torah, and then you have the Gadol Ador who knows everything about Torah. So the Gan Edens are completely different. Masha en kain ikr kiyam mitzvah, but that's not true from the ikr. Now it's not. This guy, he says ikr kiyam mitzvah. That the main point of the keeping of the mitzvah, that's the inyan of a sea. It's how you do it. That it's in the possible of everyone to do it. Everyone's able to do it. Everyone's able to pick up a palm branch. Even if you're an Ama'aretz mamish, you can put a palm branch. You can stand on the streets and tell people to put tefillin on. They can put tefillin on. Everyone can do that. Even though the Gadol Ador knows how to do tefillin, the person walking by never seen tefillin before, he's able to do it. And every Jew, every Jew does the mitzvahs. But poil, they actually physically do it, u'makayim mitzvahs, and they keep the mitzvahs. Add that even the posheya in Yisrael, how do we know that every Jew is doing mitzvahs? Because Chazal says that even the sinners of Israel are full of mitzvahs like a rimon, like a pomegranate. And since that the avoda of the mitzvahs is done by all Yisrael, therefore all Yisrael Yishem Chelek Olam Haba. So we're saying that the asiyah is done by all Yisrael, and therefore the chelek and the dividing up of the Torah is given out of in the Chesed Mesim to all Yisrael. So section 4, however, we need to understand that since the ikr of the giving of reward is in the time of the Chesed Mesim. So in the Chesed Mesim is the ikr reward. So therefore the Gan Eden is a time of pleasure, and then the Olam Haba is the time of relationship. So to understand that the reward in the Chesed Mesim is much greater than the reward in Gan Eden. So how is it understood that the Gan Eden is the schar for the avoida that is greater. So that the avoida, hasagas HaTorah, is a greater avoida and seems to get less reward. Because it's not shayach in the tzur shevet l'chol Yehudi, because not every Jew can understand the Torah in the same way. But if the schar of the Chizam Eisim is doing the mitzvahs, the avoda peshuta b'harba shelachen kemes b'chol Yisrael. So therefore, just simply picking up a lulav or just putting on tefillin, everybody can do it the same way. So therefore, when it's coming to Torah, the way that you understand the Torah will be different to every person. But the way that somebody picks up a lulav, everyone can do it exactly the same way. And the explanation of this is that although that the reasons, the outside reasons for this, is that all Israel is equal in the matters of doing, it is because that the doing is the lowest of all the kochos, of all the powers, because that is the manner that is not machriach regesh halev. It doesn't for how you're feeling in the heart, and not in the havana and the saga shebemuach, because you have your machshavas, and you have the way you're thinking about stuff, and you have to have the way you feel. All those things will come up, but in the asiyah, it's not shayach. It doesn't matter how you have all these things. So therefore, the actual doing of the mitzvah is of the lowest level. Amnam, however, that the reason, the panimi reason for this is because from the side of the height that there is in the Asiyah, and as the Mishnah Mesechet Brochos in Mesechet Avot says, the Hamaisa Ha'ikr. So why is the Maisa Ha'ikr? Because that you have a tremendous high level in Asiyah. When you're doing the Asiyah, and this act is like it's got no seichel in it, and it's got no leiv in it, it's got no emotions in it, that you have that doing of the mitzvah, then this actually, the asiyas is a tremendously high level of action, even higher than other things. And the panini is the inside of this high kavana, is that Israel will make a dira, will make a living place, an apartment for Hashem Yisparach in the lower places. In this world, that's the lowest, that there is no level below it. So again, the level below will mean that here God is revealed in every higher world, and here God is hidden. So therefore there's no world below this, because he's hidden here, and therefore the lower this world goes, he's still hidden. And as he said, Sof Ma'aseh b'machshava tehila. So we say this in the Chadodi, that the end of the Ma'aseh, it was the original Techila, so that the mice at the end, so everything in which you do, you have a whole plan for something. The last thing you do, so if you go to bed, you take your feet off the floor, that's the last thing you do. Or if you wanted to build a program, the last line of code is the last, so now everything's done. So your original thought was the last thing. You have a conception of something that will only be fully conceived once you've done every detail in it. So therefore, the last detail, which you do, that was your original thought. So sof ma'aseh machshava techila. So therefore, the man was created on the sixth day. So that was the sof ma'aseh. That was the last thing that God did. But it was machshava techila. The whole point of creation was for man that came at the end. So we see that the ma'aseh is the soif ma'aseh b'machshava techila, that the ma'aseh itself can have, even though it's the lowest thing, it's right at the end, that can have the highest level. And the kavana is that it's the ikra through the avoida of the ma'aseh hamitzvahs. So you'll get it through the doing of the mitzvahs. That through the doing of the mitzvahs, it comes to a birur, a clarification, and a purification of the body and the things of the world, as it's explained in the Tanya, in Arucha, in long C there. And since that all Yisrael, in the Pasuk it says that the Netzer Mitame Ma'aseh Yadei, that they're from the work of God's hands, then they feel, every Jew feels this kavana b'poil, specifically in action. They feel it in the level of Gilum. It's revealed to them. The kaimim havdelim ben Yehudi echa l'sheni. So in a level of revelation, then there's many differences between every Jew, and you can even have some that they're not a kli. But for the shayach of the kavana of the atzmos to make for God a dir b'tachtoinim, that is felt in the atzmos of a Jew, that the innards of the Jew, that you go to the inner core of the Jew. That's what he feels. That's what he knows. That's what he wants. So the pure Iker of every Jew, every Jew is equal in that point. So it's only in the revealed, how they reveal their inner core and how that comes out and is played out, that's all different, and you'll have the separation between people. But the atzmos of every Jew is God and has that connection to God and wants that relationship with God. And in that, every Jew is exactly the same. Section 5. The Bechiras goes beguf shel Yehudi, that God chooses the guf of the Jew. That is also the reason that the paying of reward in the next world is when the neshama is in the guf, dafka, when the soul and the body come together specifically, because from this, that the kavanah of Hashem is that Hashem will have a dira b'tachtoinim, that he will look at the matter also in Yisrael, that they Kaviyachol are completely one with the Atzmos, so that the Jew and God is one. That in the Bechiris of when God chooses them, Asher B'Charbanu, that it's He B'Gufam. It's not just that He chose their neshama, but He also chose their guf. So therefore, that the oneness of the Jew and God is not just in the neshama, but it's also the oneness of God and the Jew and the guf. And therefore, also in the guf of the Jew, that it's a mitzias, nechzis is eternal, that the guf is eternal, and it doesn't get lost, because we have the etzem luz is a part of the spine that doesn't deteriorate, and from there he gets built up. So you see, so this is an idea that we see even have part of the body that deteriorates and decomposes has a eternal part of it, because there's a bone that doesn't decompose. And therefore, when we finish the avoda of birur v'zichach ha'olam, that when we are clarifying the world and purifying the world, and the world will be a dira for Hashem, because through clarifying, what does clarifying mean is that we choose the godliness over the non-godliness, and then we'll bring through that a revelation also in Israel of this choosing of God. So just like we clarify the world, so therefore God's choice will be clarified within the world. And what is God's choice in the world? It is the guf of the Jew, and therefore that the life is eternal of the world above, it will be in the guf, and therefore this is the difference from Gan Eden, but it has to come in davka in the guf, because the guf is where we have this eternal, because God didn't just choose the neshama, He also chose the guf. So 6. So to according to this will be understood why we begin the Mishnah of this. That's how we do Maseches Avot, that in order to explain how the Kiyum and the Limud of Maseches Avot will bring to how does this the Masechet Avos bring to this clarification of the physicality of the body. It's fitting and it's touching every Jew. So we begin at all Yisrael v'chelik Olam Haba, because that the guf of every Jew, it's the creation of Hashem. And all the more so that specifically with the Maisa Yadeh, that we have the Hitpa'er, that through this is the pasuk from Yeshaya, that through the works of the hands we get the glorification of Hashem, because specifically of the Soif Maisha hu b'machshava tzichila, as we've explained. So therefore, that any Jew that is not able to be batal, every Jew has to take part of this work, and nobody can be freed from this work, that he is not allowed to, or say, you know what, I'm not going to do what Avos says. And then we have the two sides, that there's no body that isn't able to be clarified, because that the guf of every Jew is the Maisa of Hashem, and it's not Shaykh that is not able to be clarified. So that nobody can be too far gone. Nobody can be past the point of no return, because everybody's made by God. Everybody's guf is the handiwork of God, and therefore everybody can be saved. And more than this, that we have the creation of Kadosh Baruch Hu, for sure, He will not be pushing anybody away. And in the cipher, the end of the matter, and for sure will be clarified. So therefore, everybody will have their day in the end. And on the other side, that the avoda is not too low, because for any Jew to do it, and the more so that the mili of Chasida, that it's true that the avoda in the birur, the zichos sukov, because specifically with the Maisa Yedei Yeshna is Be'er, because through the Maisim, there that will be the glorification of God, as we said before, that the Sof Maisha b'Machshava Techila. So the Avos is the clarification of the Guf, that when you become a better person, you become a better, when you're interacting in the world, how do you bring God into the world? That's the work of Pirkei Avos, and therefore that's specifically working on the point of the Guf, which is not Limud Torah, and again Limud Torah is feeding into Gan Eden, but working on your Ben Adam Lechaveru and clarifying the world, that's feeding into Olam Haba, and therefore specifically by Pirkei Avos do we say Yishem Chelek Olam Haba, that those who hold that Olam Haba will be in the Neshama, so therefore obviously they can hold by this whole verse.